Good afternoon. Welcome to Three and Out. There's a little bit of stuff to get to today on the show. I'm Kevin Thomas. He is Ben Troop. Thanks for making us a part of your day. Braves will finish up their series with the Phillies tonight. Ben, we'll get you to that coming up in just a little bit. Obviously, the Braves continuing to play well. They have a chance with a win today to go 22-5. Excuse me, I think their best record ever in a month was 21-5. So this would be a chance to at least one-up that in the win column. We'll get to that. Also, the Hawks have been active. You got free agency starting in the NBA. That's been wild. Kevin Durant wants a trade. Kevin Chouinard of Hawks.com covers the Atlanta Hawks. He will join us after the Hawks trade 3 picks, Danilo Gallinari to the Spurs for DeJounte Murray. So now you have a 1-2 guard combination that Ben doesn't really get rivaled by many in the NBA. So we'll get to that. But is there any other place we could start, Ben Troop, than right here off the jump with a report that says USC and UCLA are in talks to leave the Pac-12 and go to the Big Ten. Let me say that again. USC, I'm not talking about South Carolina, Southern Cal, and UCLA are in talks to leave the Pac-12 and head to the Big Ten, a seismic shift in college football and college athletics. A lot of talk that it's going to happen in 2024, so that's 2 seasons from now. Ben, and just right before we came on the show, a lot of college football folks saying, no, this thing is done. Like, you could have a presser tonight. You might have a presser tomorrow, but the Pac-12 is getting busted. And it's going to go from the Big Ten is essentially going to go with Rutgers. You're going to go from the East Coast to the West Coast, and you're going to have 16 teams, much like the SEC. And if this is true, you would get to 16 before the SEC does it, because they're waiting on Texas and Oklahoma. Does that speed up that timetable? Because now you're the Big 12 sitting out here going, wait a minute. We know we're losing Texas, Oklahoma. Are we back to having to, like, if they're gone anyway, we need to start worrying about viability and things of that nature. Might you let some schools be willing to waive clauses keeping Texas and Oklahoma in if it means they can also get out and jump around? Ben, this is interesting. This is huge. And to me, the landscape of college athletics continues to change. I know some folks bemoan the fact of, hey, you're taking something good and you're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And we like college football because it's not pro football. And essentially what you keep hearing, and I'll let you jump in, Ben, is several people have said that, cover college football out there. Pete Thamel, others have come out there saying, look, it's a done deal. And others saying, this is just the beginning. This is the move to what, and again, Ben, I've heard people talking about this for 20 years. The move to college football super conferences, and maybe just 2 of them, that being the SEC and the Big Ten, bloating up to maybe 24 teams apiece and having 2 24-team conferences, and there you go. And that's your whole deal. Thoughts? A lot to digest there, I know, Ben, but your thoughts. Let's just start from the very tip of that iceberg. Southern Cal, UCLA, West Coasters, now they're going to be part of the Big Ten in 2 years.
Huge. I'm going to start with Lincoln Riley. People kept saying, why is Lincoln Riley going to USC? Like, why? And I kept saying that when he was at Oklahoma, Kevin,
Do you think he was getting hat tipped to some of this?
Okay, but it was a bunch of winks going on. Like, why is every time we got to meet, the dude in the corner with a black suit on not talking? He going to let you know in a second. No, Kevin, we kept saying this, right? I kept saying, okay, we was like, what conference is going to even try to compete with the SEC from just eyes first? Before you even get to the games itself, what the Big Ten said, look, man, Ohio State, Michigan State, Penn State. All right, we're very, very top heavy. Yeah, you got the Wisconsins, of the world. You got the Iowas, but it ain't the same mustard. Who can we add? Somebody go, not only can we add 2 big names, how about we just, add the 2 biggest names in the state of California? Who? USC and UCLA? Yeah. Now, Kevin, another thing that the Big Ten just did, bigger than brand, notoriety, brand visibility. Look at the names. I mean, you ain't heard a lot from Chip Kelly since he went over to UCLA. Now you got Lane Kiffin to go along with Coach Day and Mel Tucker and Coach Harbaugh, right? And so on and so forth. What the Big Ten is doing is saying, look, we got to win the eyeballs first, man. The SEC get all the eyeballs, from the coaches to the players to the teams. Now you go, what? Yes, USC and UCLA are the two biggest brands in college football in the state of California, and that is taking nothing away from the Cals and the Stanfords. It is UCLA. And location. You in LA. Now the Big Ten is in LA. And now, Kevin, I think that what they're doing is saying, hey, man, it's how quick you can do it. Because, yes, other conferences are going to try to follow suit, but, man, you want to be first. Because it looks like they're starting a trend. Just like the ACC is getting away from conferences and everybody else going to start. Who started? Oh, we started that trend. You want to jump out there first. So I like it. I just think that college football, I be trying to tell people, college football, conferences, recruiting, regular season games, combine. Because what they going to say? Oh, Georgia, SEC put 5 guys in in the first round. They're going to be using that stuff. They're going to be Ole Miss wins its first ever College World Series, SEC again. I think what the Big Ten is saying, look, dude, we got to add something. Why? Because we're not top heavy enough. The SEC is, good Lord, they obese at the top. We are trying to get to a point where, so who can do for that? And now think about you in the Pac-12, and you are Utah. You are Oregon. You are UW. You are Washington State. You are Arizona. You say, dude, why not us? It ain't the same thing. Like, if somebody go, Arizona State's coming to the Big Ten, Now, Utah, Kevin, is a good school, but most people like, Utah's in the Pac-12. Exactly. Most people don't know where they are. You know about Oregon, but Oregon and Oregon State don't give the same. UCLA, and you talking about two teams that people thought would never leave the Pac-12. That's what and somebody said, who you think would never leave the Pac-12? UCLA, USC, gone. I love the move. I don't know what, the commissioner of the Big Ten, that is a huge move. And look how fast it happens, Kevin. I do think you make a great point, though. There is 0% chance, that Texas and Oklahoma is going to wait to 2025 to come. I just don't see it happening. Yes, you're going to have to, cooler heads going to have to prevail. You're going to be some type of exit clause. Or you paying us something, big bad SEC. You're going to give the Big 12 something. But I credit the Big Ten for saying, look, if we're going to want other teams to come over here, we got to start looking attractive now. We got to start looking just attractive as – we're not going to look as attractive as the SEC, but at the same time, too, Kevin, I mean, the number one selling cars in the country are not luxury cars. But the luxury cars, everybody want one. Think about that. The one I want, I can't afford it. It's nice, and I know it when I see it. SEC is a luxury car. I get it. But the Big Ten say, hey, bro, we got a chance to be all over the road, too. I like it. It just shows that when it comes to, we be talking about NILs, transfer portals, coaches going to new places. And behind the scenes, somebody goes, watch what the Big Ten about to do. What you mean? Watch what the Big Ten do, on a Thursday, the last day in June. July going to be on fire because you got all these different, media days coming up.
Oh, yeah.
But shout out to the Big Ten, man, buying their time. UCLA and USC say, hey, man, we need a change, man. What you mean? Like, they don't even give us the love, they supposed to. What you gonna do? We ain't appreciate it. They talking about the Ducks. They talking about the youth. All right, we gonna go. We appreciate it now. And Kevin, I guarantee you this: how long does it take for Big Ten media days to be in LA? Oh, it's coming to LA. I mean, probably sooner rather than later. But shout out to the Big Ten. I think it's a great move by them.
Yeah, look, I just look at it, and now what has gotten started, and whether you could say it's right or wrong, whether you like it or not. And I know we were talking off air in between breaks with Christian from Second Down. I said, look, by all indications, this is not done.
No,
because this is a high stakes, high dollar game of musical chairs, right? This is a high stakes game of musical chairs that you're playing right now, and nobody wants to get left without a seat, right? So you're looking at it and say, well, what's going to happen? You're hearing reports, hey, there's going to be 2 conferences. They have 24 teams. Big Ten's going to have 24 teams, and we'll go from there. And basically, as Ben, you said before the show, it's the AFC and the NFC.
It is
college football with a few more teams. And you look at it and go, well, how is that sustainable? I think, again, I think we'll end up right back in a divisional model with teams probably clumped together regionally playing each other. I do think Christian brought up a good point, said, look, I don't know if it's going to go past 16 because of the money. I think the money's going to be, I mean, think about this. If I'm the SEC and I go from 16 to 24 and I bring in big name schools that bring in revenue, you say, well, maybe they don't bring in enough. No, but you just brought in half a conference. If I take half of the ACC's revenue, is that enough? Right? You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm the Big Ten and I take half the Pac-12's revenue, is that enough to go to 24? And now we really renegotiate deals with Fox, with ESPN, ABC, and say, here, let me tell you something. We're going to do a 12 game. You can do whatever you want. We're going to do a 13 game schedule and have a expanded playoffs. All right. So we're giving you more regular season games. Ain't going to be any play in UAB or anything. And again, I hate it for those schools.
Yeah.
Not going to be any of that.
Yeah.
The SEC will play ourselves. The Big Ten will play themselves, and we'll cross over and we'll play each other. And that's how we're going to play it out. Our 48 teams are going to play each other. And that's how you're going to generate more money. Why? Because every matchup, by and large, is a pretty good one, right? You take in the top 48 teams, every matchup by proxy then, Ben, more often than not, unless it just works out that way, you're going to have multiple matchups every week with quote-unquote top 25 teams because there's less than 50. So it's like half the league is in top, or half of your whatever division you want to call it is in the top 25. I just think it's not done. I think there is more coming. I think there's a number of schools looking around. Ben, I agree with you. If I'm in the ACC right now, I may say, hey, we love the ACC. Notre Dame, do you want a place? But I think there's a lot of ADs calling each other going, what do you think? You think they're done at 16? If they offer you, if we hear talking 24, are you going to jump? Are you with them? Oh, we better start. Because I think at this point, then it starts. Is there conference loyalty? There is to the SEC and the Big Ten because of the cash. Is there loyalty to the Big 12? You could tell me there is, but the two biggest schools are leaving. Is there loyalty to the Pac-12? You could tell me they are, but two schools in LA just up and gone. Everybody, once this song has started playing, and you know somebody's got their hand on, for those of you who aren't old enough, record players have styluses, needles, and you can pick it up and the music stop. When that music stops, and you're Florida State, you're Georgia Tech, you're Clemson, you're Oregon, and that music stops, you don't want to be sitting there going, what just happened? And make no mistake, if that's kind of the model people see going, there's going to be schools. Mm-hmm. You and I were talking about this. If you're Oklahoma State, should you be really worried right now? If you're Washington State, should you be really worried right now? If you're Oregon State, we're not even the biggest school in our state. Are they going to want to take us and come along for the ride? Or are you kind of stuck? Very interesting to see where this thing goes. But been a lot of folks talking, we're not done. Looking like mega conferences. I know a lot of people hate that, but a lot of people think the next move is 24 for the SEC and the Big Ten.
Kevin, I'm gonna just leave on this. I don't know what 60 some games played every Saturday between like Saturday we talking about college football each weekend. 130 teams, each team play. What you gonna watch? If you're talking about all those teams you just mentioned, what are you gonna watch? Clemson, just say if Clemson and SEC. Clemson is playing Florida or Georgia it's just week 2. Hey man,
and that would be every week.
Yeah,
potentially.
Oregon's playing Arizona, and I'm telling you, it's all about programming. If I got the best schools, whether that's perception wise or reality wise, and I'm putting these type of games on, Kevin. At the end of the day, if somebody's saying, hey man, it's gonna be a home run derby, and we taking the players, we give them each day, it's gonna be Mike Trout versus Acuna on Monday. What? You're gonna watch stuff like that. Greg Sankey's sitting back going, dude, y'all trying to make me look like the big dog. Well, you are the big dog right now.
Well, I mean,
until proven otherwise.
Case in point, if it does come to that, Greg Sankey just follows the The recruiting model. We don't recruit. We ask.
Come on. I mean, who is
Right?
it? SEC is on the phone. Tell them yes.
I mean,
they ain't asked nothing yet.
That's what I'm saying. If you're at Clemson and the SEC calls, yep. You don't want to be the AD and say we could have been over there and said no.
And that's the difference. The Big Ten gets UCLA and USC. SEC gets Texas and Oklahoma. Telling you, it's a difference.
It's a lot coming down the pipe. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a little bit. But when we come back, free agency, trades, it's all going crazy in the NBA. Kevin Chouinard, Hawks.com will join us next. Here it's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Well, college football is getting turned on its head. We'll have more for you on that coming up in just a little bit. But the NBA has been wild. Trades, free agency, all running wide open here. And the Hawks have traded 3 first-round draft picks, 2 of them unprotected, and Danilo Gallinari to the Spurs for DeJounte Murray. Joining us here from Hawks.com, Kevin Shadar joins us here on 3 Now. Kevin, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Talk about this deal. Obviously, the Hawks were pretty well, coming into the draft. A lot of talk. Hey, they're looking to make a move. They're looking to make a move. A lot of smoke around John Collins. This move ends up being draft picks and Danilo Gallinari. What did the Hawks get in return for all that they gave up?
They got somebody who complements Trae Young well. They've needed for a while now someone who can drive to the hoop next to Trae. They've had some good players, they've had some good shooters, but they needed more ball handling, and they needed somebody to free up the pressure on Trae when teams kind of overload the defense on Trae's side. They needed somebody who could take the ball to the rim, and they're going to get that in DeJounte.
What does that say for a guy like John Collins? Obviously, his name kept coming up in trade talks. I think teams are looking at that salary, saying they might not want to pick it up. And even for a guy like Kevin Huerter as well, do those guys find themselves in a Hawks uniform next season, or does somebody pull the trigger on those 2 guys?
It seems entirely possible. The Hawks are over the luxury tax threshold, so if they're looking to trim salary, there really aren't a whole lot of options. To do that, it would probably have to be Collins, Huerter, or Bogdanovic. You have to move one of those 3 to get under the luxury tax if that's their goal. And Bogdanovic is having off-season knee surgery, so it's not going to be as easy to unload him. Teams aren't as interested as they would be in Collins and Huerter. So if they need to make a move to get under the luxury tax, yeah, it seems like it would be one of those 2. And the rumors around Collins have been going on a longer time than they have been for Huerter. So that's a candidate for sure.
Kevin Shadar, Hawks.com, joining us here on 3 and Out. Just as you evaluate John Collins as a player, how much he has left in his career, what do you expect kind of going value to be for him? What do you expect kind of commensurate value for the Hawks to get in return for him?
Yeah, I don't think they can get value for him. I think it's a combination of things. Like I said, if they're moving him, they're moving him to get under the luxury tax, and he's kind of a do-it-all kind of player. There's not a lot that he's bad at. He's a good shooter, if not a methodical one who takes a little bit of time to get the shot up, but he's a good shooter. He's an elite role man. He's a good defensive power forward, a good rebounding power forward. The only couple of things that maybe he hasn't done well for the Hawks is he hasn't necessarily been a great ball handler, and he hasn't. They've put him at center at times, and he's not necessarily a great defensive center. But he's really kind of a do-it-all power forward. But I just, you kind of wonder if the league sort of values that archetype the way they do for point guards and centers. It's kind of tricky for power forwards. I think we've seen that historically in the league for a while now. If you're a power forward who can't sort of make your own shot, it can be difficult for you in the wrong situations. And so, it didn't seem like they were using Collins enough. With Capella in the fold, they have to use Clint Capella as a role man. So Collins just kind of gets to stand in the corner a little bit. And, he's a really good player. I don't know that the Hawks can get that kind of value back for him, but whoever does get him, if they have the right role for him, they're getting a heck of a player.
Kevin, even sticking with a guy like John Collins, obviously he turned down the first time they offered him the contract. He turned it down, ended up signing the big deal. Is there a way that this relationship can be salvaged a little bit? I know that contract is pretty big. Do you think there's a way with bringing a guy like Murray, maybe cooler heads can prevail, and maybe he finds himself saying, "Look, man, maybe I want to be here more than the Hawks want me to be here right now."
Yeah, I would never say never there. I mean, if they go and try to move Huerter, or if they go and try to move Bogdanovic, and that's who gets them under the luxury tax, then they might look at what's out there for Collins and say, "Hey, that's not enough for him. He's better than that." I wonder if they could go and do something with Sacramento and try to get Harrison Barnes You get a couple of things there. I think, Travis Schlenk, the president of basketball operations, he's familiar with Harrison Barnes from his time in Golden State. They get more shooting. He's probably a better shooter, more of a volume shooter than Collins. He's a little bit cheaper than Collins, and his contract ends soon. So if you're worried about the luxury tax going forward, you're not tied into Collins' money long term that way. So I mean that might be an option for where they could go, but we'll see.
Kevin Shadar, Hawks.com, joining us here on 3 and Out. And Kevin, you look at teams forming like big threes. Who would you look? I mean, if you, again, as you said, you talked about a number of variables out there from the Atlanta Hawks to try to get their money right. I mean, is John Collins enough to make it a big three with Murray and Trae Young? Is that a winning big three in your estimation? By winning, I mean getting back to a conference finals, potentially having a chance to stake claim of getting into a championship series.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a big three, but it's you look at a team like Phoenix that went to the finals. I think if you put the right 4 and 5 around them, that's the best 3 of 5 that could, on a team that could get you to the finals. Like I think it's that kind of thing. I don't know that it's an electric sort of marquee big three in that sense, but I do think from a playing perspective that if you put the right 2 pieces around them, somebody like DeAndre Hunter, and and the center that fits, that could work for sure.
Where is this Hawks team? I mean, as Kevin just mentioned, a couple of years removed from being in the Eastern Conference Finals. You look at last year, play-in game, obviously made it back into the playoffs, where the East has gotten very, very competitive since LeBron James has decided to go out west. Where is this Hawks team, and how much does a guy like Murray kind of push them back to maybe away from 9 and 10 to maybe like 5, 6, and 7?
I think the Hawks have had an Achilles heel over the past couple of seasons. If you look at when they've been successful and when they haven't been successful, the teams that they've done well against, like Philadelphia and Milwaukee, teams like that, maybe Cleveland, they are more traditional big men. They play like a drop defense, and Trae can run pick and rolls at that drop defense and do very, very well. They've struggled against teams that are really good at switching. With like Miami with the PJ Tucker types and Kyle Lowry, Charlotte, they beat them in a play-in game, but they've had some real struggles in some of the games against Charlotte when Charlotte was switching. That's the kind of team that they've struggled with, and DeJounte Murray is a really important player to kind of fixing that flaw, because they need somebody that could take the ball all the way to the rim and finish at the rim. They haven't had that kind of player. They've had Bogdanovich and Kevin Huerter, were really good players, but they're not good enough at getting all the way to the rim. They're good at getting to like 15 feet, and they need a threat at the rim to make it work. And they need more defense too, and certainly Murray fits that bill.
I was going to say, how much defensive help do they need? It seems like when they're on, they can score lots of points. Defensively, though, have they bought into that side of the ball, and how much help do they need to really become a moderate defensive team?
I think they could be a really good defensive team with Murray. They've already got DeAndre Hunter, and they've got Clint Capella, who, when he's healthy, I'd put him out there against anybody in the league. Like, Gobert has, done some stuff and won some Defensive Player of the Year awards, but, Clint at his best is right there with it. The problem is that he's been hurt. The Hawks had a really short offseason last season, and they finished the season really super strong. Capella was a monster defender in the 2021 postseason, but to start the season after, he was injured. He didn't have any lift. He wasn't getting rebounds. And then as the season wore on, he started to shape into that kind of defender again. So if you've got Murray, DeAndre Hunter, Clint Capella, and a decent defending power forward out there, I think you've got enough defenders around Trae to make it work.
Trae is still, obviously, no pun intended, still very young in his career. Where would you rank him as far as like players? I mean, a guy that seems to be, very, very well ahead of schedule, and it says a lot about him and how much the organization really, really appreciates him by going out and getting a guy like Murray. Yeah,
I mean, it's he's right up there. I don't know exactly where you rank him among players, but I think just in terms of like passers, he's a top 2 passer in the league. Like he's either the best passer or Jokic is the best passer. And it's hard to compare the two because they're playing different positions, but he's the best passing point guard in the league, I think, by a clear margin. Like he's that good of a passer. He can make every pass. He can make it with either hand. And he's got the other stuff to go with it. He's a really great standstill catch and shoot 3-point shooter. He just hasn't had a chance to unlock that part of his game. It's kind of a chicken and egg thing. It's like in previous seasons, the knock on Trey has been he hasn't been willing to get off the ball. But the problem is when he gets off the ball, there hasn't been somebody to drive the ball to the rim to give him a catch and shoot. So it's like, where do you start with it? And again, Murray, with his ability to drive, is going to unlock some of that. If Trey is willing, he should get those opportunities this season. And over the course of his career in smaller volume, he's shown that he's really good at that. Like his numbers on catch and shoot corner threes are pretty ridiculous. So if he's trusting and will put the ball in DeJounte's hands a little bit more, which is tricky because like we just said, Trey's the best passer in the league. So you don't really want to take the ball out of his hands that much. But with a balance and some keeping defenses off kilter because they don't know quite what to expect in terms of who's going to have the ball, he should get some off-ball opportunities that are pure gold this season.
Kevin Shadar joining us here on 3 and Out. Kevin, finally, the Hawks gave up 3 first-rounders, so 2 of them unprotected. Does that give us kind of a sense on maybe how the Hawks viewed draft capital versus trying to get better right now?
I mean, it's a funny thing. Like teams don't trade unprotected picks, and I get why. It's precarious because if that ends up being a top 1 pick, a top 3 pick, you don't want to make that. You don't want to have that pick in somebody else's hands. If the Hawks follow through on their plan, or even if they, get close to following through on their plan and come up a little bit short, those picks really shouldn't be a problem. They shouldn't be in the lottery. If the Hawks are spending what they want to spend, if Trey stays in Atlanta through the end of his contract, and there aren't like a slew of devastating injuries, then that really shouldn't matter. But if things go really bad, if you take sort of the worst 1% of possible outcomes for the next 5 years for the Hawks, yeah, that lack of protection is going to look really, really bad.
Kevin Shadar, Hawks.com, our guest here on 3 and Out. Kevin, really appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Kevin Shadar joining us here talking some Hawks basketball. Hawks trade 3 first-round picks and Danilo Gallinari to the Spurs for DeJounte Murray. And Hawks get really good at the guard position. As he said, a guy that can score at the bucket bin. And you still aren't done because you got to, much like the Falcons, seems like everybody in Atlanta is trying to shed money here to get under some kind of cap. Probably bad news for John Collins. At the end of the day, he's not going to stick around.
Yeah, if they can find a big. I mean, as Kevin mentioned, I mean, a guy like John Collins, I mean, he's the do-it-all player. Doesn't really play well when they put him at the 5. Definitely a guy that plays well, with the guy 1-2 combination with him and Trae Young. But I just think, Kevin, that contract is so huge. And listen, return on investment. And sometimes John Collins is, very, very impactful. And sometimes, you wonder if he's even out there. So I do think that, before it's all said and done, John Collins and even Kevin Hurt is probably going to get dealt somewhere else. But you got to get a good player in return. Can't just get the money off the books. I got to get a shooter from Kevin Hurt, and obviously I got to get a big from a guy like John Collins. With what they did with Murray, and obviously, like you say, Kevin, they're using these draft picks to get good players. Good teams become great teams. You can add veteran players who have credibility in the league. I like what the Hawks did, but they still got some more moves to make.
We've got more to come, including the Braves with a chance to finish the sweep of the Phillies. And could be one of the best months we've ever seen of Braves baseball. We'll get to that next. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Welcome back, 3 and Out. Braves got a chance to finish up the month on a very high note, Ben. Not only sweeping the Phillies, but a chance to finish up the month 22-5. Unbelievable run here in the month of June. We talked about it at the end of May. I mean, you go back to the end of May, and they've been on a heck of a run here. 21-5, I think, is the best month they've ever had. They have a chance to do 22-5, so they could beat that in the win column. Unbelievable month, and that's with Ronald Acuna in and out of the lineup. That's with Ozzie Albies missing some time here down the stretch. That's with the inexplicable 2 losses to the Cubs at the time during this stretch where you lost 1-0, a game to end your big long win streak over this run. So 3 games behind the Mets coming into tonight's ball game. A chance to go 22-5 in the month of June. Unbelievable.
Kevin, I think what happens is when you're talking about a Braves team and what makes them dangerous is what they was able to show in the month of June. I mean, we kept saying that, look, at one point the Mets was 10 and a half games, up on the Braves. We was like, look, they got to try to win the series in, get on the momentum, get some momentum going, and they built a lot of confidence. I think they came 1 game short of the franchise record for most wins in a row. I think the Cubs kind of put a halt to that, Kevin, but excuse me, they've been doing it in spite of the fact that Ronald Acuna Jr. hasn't been his best. Obviously dealing with an injury now. All signs are he's better. He might be with the team, through the weekend. Maybe not be playing, shouldn't be playing tonight. But, look at what Travis d'Arnaud has done. Look at what Adam Duvall has meant to this team. Look at what Matt Olson is doing. I mean, Michael Harris Jr., my goodness. I mean, has been lights out since they called him up. I mean, you talk about the pitching staff. You talk about, I think what I like the most about this team, Kevin, is they built the confidence that they needed. Confidence is huge when it comes to sports. It is everything when it comes to pro sports. And Kevin, man, you talked about it. We talked about the 2 Mets fans, the little video going around. 2 Mets fans talking about, look, the Mets lost 4 in a row. The Braves don't lose. Like they don't. And I think when I said this, I said the Braves are going to bring out the best in themselves, and they're going to bring out the best in this division. The Mets, make no mistake about it, they know in order to win this division, they got to put some distance between them and the Braves. Well, Kevin, we said it now, even though, Scherzer and DeGrom, they about to make their return. I think this Braves team is realizing we're a better team. We're not built on certain things. Yes, we got great starting pitching. Yes, we got an incredible bullpen, but we're built to beat you in a lot of ways. We can beat you with our pitching. We can beat you with our bullpen. We can beat you with our bats. We can beat you with our defense. Other teams are saying, hey, dude, we got to have this guy. We got to have that guy. The best player on the Braves is hurt right now, and they're still winning. And I think that's what Alex Anthopoulos and Snit has done a great job of saying, look, we can't build it around one guy. Now, when he's there, we're much better, but we can still thrive. And I think last year, Kevin kind of really showed the Braves what we have as a team because Acuna was hurt down the stretch. But 22-5, anybody would take that. And once again, for those who said they beat up on bad teams, and that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah. Because if they were losing, what would you say? Y'all can't even beat bad teams. So it's not like you can win this argument. But 22,
I would be on here melting down.
Exactly. I mean, listen, like you say, Kevin, listen, you got 2 seasons. You got pre-All-Star break. You got post-All-Star break. You give yourself a shot going into the All-Star break because you know it's going to be a fight to the finish. I think this Mets team, because once again, I don't think the Braves still have played their best yet, even though they've shown what they can do when they go on a run, which still makes it very, very dangerous. Hey, Phillies, hey, man, I can't listen. If you're in the league, you don't care who trailing. I can't worry about who behind the Braves. It's about me looking forward. But 22-5 or 20, potentially 22-5, Kevin. I mean, the month of June has done wonders for this Brave squad.
Hey, absolutely. And again, got him right back in the race. And Ben, I know people are tired of talking about Freddie Freeman, but the news that at least the reports that broke last night, it's like it just won't go away. I think it was Doug Gottlieb who, incidentally, I think is going to get sued out of all this. Basically said Freddie Freeman's agent didn't tell him of the final offer from the Braves. Did not tell him. That's like agent-client relations 101, right? Hey, if there's a deal being offered, you at least tell the client. And some reports are like, if I tell him, he's going to take it. He's going to go to Atlanta and maybe lose out on bigger money elsewhere, which maybe he did anyways. But, man, I know I was a lot on the, hey, stop the crying, Freddie Freeman, but I think I'd really be stopping the crying. I'd be mad. Like, look, you know where I want, because, again, essentially that agent cost Freddie Freeman maybe a little bit of money.
Yeah.
Because it's about the same once you get into the taxes and all that kind of stuff. But to me, Ben, when you see how Freddie reacts, and I'm not saying some of it is not genuine, I think it's a little over the top, but I think it cost Freddie Freeman legacy. And that's a hard thing to do in sports. We talk about it all the time with this live tour and the PGA Tour. Like, hey, you have legacy players, guys who want to win majors, win golf tournaments. And you have guys who are like, look, I don't really have it in my bones to be a legacy player. I'm going to get paid. And then when I'm done, I can do what I want. And I think that you know this, Ben. There are guys like that in every sport. Yep. In the NFL, there are guys who are saying, hey, I want to be a legacy player, remembered for all the great things I've done. And there are guys who are saying, this is my job. I want a paycheck and I want as much money as I can possibly get so that when I quit, I've maxed out. And if I can quit early, like we've seen other guys do, all the better because I've made enough money to feel comfortable. I think Freddie Freeman is a guy that he's a legacy guy.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a give me all the money. I don't need the Bryce. And again, maybe say your agent's job is to try to get you more money. I don't think he needs the Juan Soto, Bryce Harper money, that kind of stuff. I think he wants to be paid commensurate with his talent, which is which the Braves were going to do. But I think, as I said, since that trade happened, I don't think five's going up in the rafters out there. And that's what you cost him. If he plays out, let's just say he gets a 5-year deal, which is what the Braves offered. I'm still of the contention. If he wanted a 6th year, the Braves would give it to him. If he wanted a 7th year, the Braves would give him that, towards the end of his career. If he does all that, you're talking about a guy that's played basically 20 years, one uniform, Atlanta Braves, World Series, MVP, probably approaching RBI, doubles, home run milestones that'll lock him into the Hall of Fame. That's a legacy. You are one of the all-time franchise. You are up there with Bobby Cox. You're up there with Chipper Jones. You're up there with, Maddox and Glavine. And I think you got cost that. If your agent didn't tell you. And when I told you that, Ben, you were like, what do you mean you didn't tell him? Like, that's, like I said, being an agent 101. Take the deal to your client, right? I mean, agent 101. And thusly, obviously, he has since been fired. I don't know how you repair that relationship if that is true. And again, the agent said he was going to sue, exploring opportunities to sue Doug Gottlieb for putting out what he said was, false information. But wow, the layers to this thing, Ben, are just incredible.
I've never heard anything like this. I've heard that. Do agents get fired all the time? Yes. Do they mess up some of these deals? Yes. I've never heard an agent. Think about Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman is saying, "Hey, man, I'm going to the Dodgers, man. They didn't give me they give me a counter offer." And then all of a sudden you come to find out, yeah, they did. What do you mean they did? They did. But you told me they didn't. No, I never told you they did. That's crazy. That's because that's all you are. Listen, you as an agent, out of all the agents I could have picked, I pick you. I think you the best. I think you got my best interest in mind. And it's not like you're gonna be broke depending on what you get. But hey, listen, when you type in Freddie Freeman, it comes up Freddie Freeman Dodgers contract. That's what comes up when you type
Days of our lives. It's just absolutely all over the place. We got more to come. A lot of college football talk coming up in hour number 2 because it has been absolutely wild day and the landscape just keeps changing. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you along here. It is 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop. Big 10 is getting bigger.
Come on.
USC and UCLA apparently going in 2024. May have a press conference coming up. We'll get to that big portion of Take 3 coming up, talking about that as the college football landscape has changed. And again, Ben, I think you and I are in agreement. I don't think we're stopping at 16 at this point. I know a lot of people say, well, where's the money? Well, I think Christian has said it. I'm sorry.
Does moderation and college football even go together?
Not anymore. Or not ever, probably.
Gluttony. Maybe.
Show me the money.
All of
the
it.
Big 10 with 16.
We don't have any more.
Yeah, figure it out. We're coming right back. Take 3 right around the corner. We'll talk more about this conference expansion that looks like it's on the way. It is 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. We are streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com, and on the ESPN app and Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Good to have you back. Here it is, 3 and Out on this Thursday. Braves and Phillies coming up in just a little bit. A little earlier game tonight. So 4:50, we hand you off to the Braves Radio Network. Braves try to finish up 22-5 in the month of June. A lot of college football talk. A lot of college football news out there, Ben, and folks are just joining us. Reports out there that as soon as 2024, and some people saying we could see a press conference about this maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, UCLA and Southern Cal will be members of the Big Ten. And are we going towards super conferences? That is the subject of Take 3 as we take 3 here on 3 and Out. All right, Ben, take 1 on that note. Who are the remaining big names in college football that you could see be on the move?
Ooh, Kevin. The biggest name that nobody can seem to move is Notre Dame. Nobody can move them. Nobody.
Is this a block that's going to make a move?
I mean, if anybody can do it, because that's the thing about Notre Dame. I get it, Notre Dame. Listen, man, we move when we want to move. We are our own entity. We don't need y'all. I get it. But everything has a price. Everything. I don't care what you say. Kevin, another big name. Probably the biggest remaining name. Clemson. Look, at the end of the day, right? Everybody say, oh, Clemson. How good is Clemson? Clemson want to be paired with another big brand. I know we got to see like I think Florida State is a name that could be left out there. But Kevin, I think a team that's intriguing enough for somebody to go after. Oregon could be moved, people. Let me tell y'all something. You want to be able to have that brand. Just imagine if you got the brand Nike on top of the fact that the home of Nike and Oregon and all these, because Kevin, Big T just showed it doesn't matter where you are. I mean, I'm sorry. Is Missouri in the Southeast? Because they're in the SEC. It don't matter where you are. It's just about being a part of a conference, not necessarily locations. But Notre Dame will be the biggest. I think Clemson is still out there. I think Oregon is a team that's going to get a lot of consideration. And another team, I'm sorry, even though they haven't been good as of late, Florida State is a big brand, man. I think they could be moved because I think the ACC is going to get targeted by either the SEC or the Big Ten coming real soon.
Yeah, a lot of folks think this could be going to 24 teams each. That being said, I messed up my math earlier, Ben, because, well, math's not my strong suit. So that brings us to Take 2. I think those teams you mentioned are right for the picking if this is where we're going. I know a lot of people say, well, what about this? What about if you go from 16 to 24 and you take half a league and thusly potentially, and you're not going to target the bottom of the league and thus potentially the upper crust of that league's revenue source, I think you'd be all right. I think you'll be all right at the end of the day. Take 2 then. So if we're going to 24, again, as speculated,
come on.
A lot of people are speculating, hey, pick somebody that covers college football today. And they're like, I've talked to people who think this is going to 24. And for all the people who said, you're stupid, you probably didn't think the SEC would ever have 16 teams in it either.
Yep.
Right. And again, I've been hearing about this for 20 plus years, mega conferences.
Yep.
I thought maybe there'd be 4 of them, but here we are, maybe having 2 of them. Who are the 8?
Yep.
Give me the 8 teams. If you're the SEC, Ben, you would go after if this thing is indeed on a trek to go 24.
If the SEC wants to live up to its to its name of talking about like it's the Southeastern Conference. So I'm sticking.
But that doesn't matter.
Yeah. But I'm gonna go with South. Listen, look, I already said
the
Clemson,
Big Ten's got 16. It doesn't matter.
Clemson, that's one. So now I got the both teams. This is about controlling states for the SEC. You don't believe me? Okay. They already had Texas A&M. Now they got Texas. That's controlling the whole state. Okay. You're going to want Clemson because you already got South Carolina. You want Florida State because you already got Florida, and they want Miami. I want the big 3. So give me Miami, give me Florida State. We were talking about preserving rivals. So I got Clemson, Florida State, Miami.
Oh, good luck with that if you're going to 24, though. I mean,
I know. Now.
So you're at 4.
Well, I got Clemson, Florida State, Miami. And who else did I say? I think that's 3.
You only got 3. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I thought you said
Georgia
more.
Tech. I want the city of Atlanta. I want them, right? Now, I want Oklahoma State. Now I got the whole state of Oklahoma. So now I got Oklahoma State. Now I got 5. Once again, sometimes I just want to be able to steal people because of brand equity. I want Oregon. Now go your number 6. Give me Oregon. People say, what about Oregon State? I don't know if Oregon State bring the same luster. Now, I got 6 of them. I got 2 left. If you look, and Kevin, you're going to have to really do something. I want Notre Dame. Because I want to be able to say we could get them to do what nobody could get them to do and could actually, I'm talking about the football now, they're in the ACC every other sport, but they won't even commit unless it's freaking COVID. They're playing ACC. You want Notre Dame. And that 8th one, I mean, with so many teams out there, I'm going to go with North Carolina. I think that North Carolina, because Kevin, you got NC State, you got Duke, but I think that North Carolina brings it up because once again, now you got you in the state of North Carolina, got one of the biggest brands, if not the biggest brand. You got Florida State, and Miami, so you controlling the whole state of Florida. I talked about, what I'm saying, getting to Oregon, getting to Oklahoma State, because I think the thing about the SEC, they want state control as well as geographic control. I got the whole state of Texas. I want Oklahoma. I got Texas, Oklahoma. That's going to kill the Big 12. They're done. They're out of here. And I think that getting a team like Notre Dame, Kevin, if you can get Notre Dame, and if I'm being honest, if you can get Notre Dame, it really doesn't matter who else you get. You got Notre Dame to commit to your conference in football? Oh, man. So Notre Dame, Oklahoma State, you talk about North Carolina, you talk about Florida State, you talk about Georgia Tech, you talk about Clemson, talk about Miami. I think those and Oregon. I think of the SEC because once again, Kevin, you said it. You got 3 ring. Who is it? It's the Big Ten. Hold on, man. I got somebody on the other line. Who is it? It's the ACC. Hold on, I got somebody. Who is it? It's Greg Sankey. What's up? How you doing, Greg? Because Kevin, this is about boosting. If I'm not gonna win the national championship, which most teams are not, how do I boost my reputation? You think anybody gonna boost it more than the SEC? They can't. I think UCLA and I think USC going to the Big Ten is huge. It still ain't what the SEC is doing. That's taking nothing away from Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. I tell you what, take those teams and put them out and they go Alabama, they go Georgia, they go Texas, they go Oklahoma, and they go Texas A&M. People gonna be like, what's up, Coach Saban? Oh man, what's up, Kirby? What's up, Jimbo? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just think that for me, Kevin, listen, yes, you're gonna want location. You got the two. Listen, we got South Carolina, you got Tennessee, you got the state of Georgia, you got the state of Florida, you got the state of Texas, you got the state of Oklahoma, and I might be giving away too many tools, old Greg Sankey. I know he's listening on 3 and out. You know what I'm saying? So, but Kevin, if you're gonna be this is about greed now, people. It's about taking over. This ain't about competing. If I want greed, what's the closest I can get to the West Coast without being in the West Coast? I will go Oregon. I don't got to know because Arizona State don't do it. UW, you know what I'm saying? In Washington State don't do it. I mean, I'm sorry, but the ACC won't Stanford. Not the SEC. We got Vanderbilt. I think that those 8 would be your top 8 that you would want. Obviously, you have to settle if you can't get.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame would be interesting. I think the Big Ten would make a run at that. But if I had to do 8 for the SEC, because this is why I asked it, because I think it's you want to be geographical and dominant, and on the college athletics landscape, you can be geographical because I think we've seen Texas over, and Kentucky down, Arkansas down. They pretty much care about football, baseball, basketball. They can, you can get it, you can do it. If I'm the SEC, this is what I would do. I would do Florida State, not doing Miami. Again, Miami has tradition, but they're a smaller school, private school. Just me. I get why people, why would you want Miami in there? Don't need them. Don't need them. I mean, that sounds ridiculous, but you do not need them. Florida State, big school, 80,000.
And you got the panhandle.
Miami plays in the Dolphin Stadium and gets a lot of people dressed up as TLCs. So I mean, I'm just being honest. Being honest. So Florida State won, and I think if you got 2 of the big 3, you own the state.
Yeah.
I mean, so if that's what you're worried about,
yes.
Clemson 2, same deal.
Yep.
So you go after Clemson, 80,000 seat stadium, a lot of passion.
So now you got to state of Florida, state of South Carolina.
They are good in some of the other sports.
Got Tennessee.
They are good in the other sports as well. They'll be fine. My number 3, weird, but it fits the SEC profile. Virginia Tech.
Okay.
Blacksburg, 75,000.
So now you're in the state of Virginia.
So now you've expanded the footprint.
Yes.
You're in the state of Virginia. My number 4, I agree with you, Ben. It's North Carolina. Now you dip into North Carolina, and if you get them, you literally control the land-grant university named after the state university in just about every state.
Flagship, they want the flagship schools
in the South. I would take a look. I thought about putting them in my list. I would take a look at Virginia because they're a big school. They don't fit kind of the academic necessarily profile. I think they fit better with the Big Ten. That would be one. But so my 4 I've got so far are Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, Virginia Tech. Now comes the discussion. Do you want to just dominate the South and the Southeast where college football is huge? Or do you want to become a nationwide?
I think you want nationwide. You want nationwide.
I hear you. How many of those get me there? Maybe you want Oregon money. I think I go Oklahoma State. You wrap up Oklahoma.
Yep.
You've pretty much got all that. So there's 5. You get 3 more to play with. I think you can get interesting with those picks. You control every state in the South at that point. Do you need Louisville at that point? I don't think you do. I don't think they're big enough. I think if you want to become the national conference as it sits with USC and all them going, I take a look at Utah. I would take a look at Oregon, and I would take a look at maybe a Stanford who offers a lot of stuff. And there you go.
So you think the SEC needs to be in the state of California?
Why wouldn't you want to be?
I'm
not saying, but like you're not going to.
Because I mean,
I think if you're going to make that move and go after an Oregon, you would say, well, if we're committed to be nationwide, well, let's just go be nationwide, right? And so you go after some top, big name, passionate fan bases, big schools, and you just make it happen. If you don't, I would come back and say maybe you grab an NC State. I don't really know what you need Duke for at that point. Maybe you come Georgia Tech. And you are locked in with every big major university in the South if you stay away from those. So I think that's the discussion. I think
another thing too. Just say you don't get Oregon, and you say, all right, we're going to California. Because the Big Ten got 2. Do you get Cal and Stanford because they got because what happens is you go down now. True indeed, because the reason why I say it is this: Southern California is done. They got UCLA, so you go no Cal. I mean, UC Berkeley is in the Bay. It's in Berkeley, and obviously you got Stanford right there in Palo Alto. Because sometimes
I just think it's a matter of discussion of do you want to go national or do you want to just dominate the most passionate fan base in the country, which is in the Southeast?
Because in a sense, if you are in Pac-12 country, you get sick of hearing about this SEC stuff, and you want to know, does the SEC travel? Yes.
Because here's where I think it gets interesting because we didn't ask it the other way around. I do think if I'm the Big Ten, if you're looking around and you need 8, I do think if that's the way people see this model going, you can make inroads into competitive territory with a Georgia Tech, with a North Carolina, with a Virginia, with some of those like that. And you could become a national conference and dip all over the map. Where if you're the SEC, if you grab the right schools, you are Texas to the coast of the Atlantic coast and Virginia all the way down into Florida. You own everything. I mean, you own everything at that point. So it's going to be interesting.
Somebody say
we still got one more question to go, by the way, but go ahead.
Somebody say this. The SEC and the Big Ten, it's a monopoly game. I'm trying to own everything. That's what this is about. People are like, is it about? No, the games are going to be the games. The product is going to be the product. But if I'm in the SEC and I got 2 teams in California, Northern California, we gonna dominate in recruiting. Then you start talking about Oregon, that go your brand equity and location. Kevin, this is gonna be about strategy. I think it's gonna be about where you want to do because you already, in a sense, you already dominate the Southeast. If you just wanted to be able to take over, like if I want Clemson to have the whole state of South Carolina, if I want North Carolina to have the University of North Carolina, if I want Florida State to have, essentially, if I got 2 at the top of the big 3, and I do like what you said about the Stanford because at the end of the day, man. I mean, Stanford, they've been very. I think Stanford
probably would be a Big Ten fit as well, if we're being honest. But I mean, I think just if you feel like it's going 24, if I'm Greg Sankey, I go just for the dominant model, which is I own everybody that gives 2 craps about college football.
Yep.
Right. I don't care about the West Coast. I'm going to go Texas, Arkansas, Kentucky. I'm basically just going to take the bottom half in the Southeast of the country and say, I got it. I don't need Arizona. I mean, and those are the programs. We talked about this. Somebody's going to be on the outside looking in.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm Arizona State right now, and I'm here in mega conference, I'm getting real nervous. I'm getting real nervous.
Talk about the brand equity, right?
If I'm Washington State right now, I'm getting real nervous.
If you watch football right now, you know the cleats that's dominating is Jumpman, a.k.a. Jordan. There are 4 Jordan brands. That would be Oklahoma. coming to the SEC. There'll be Florida already in the SEC. There'll be Michigan, who can't beat Ohio State once every 10 years. And there'll be North Carolina. What if 3 of the 4 are in the SEC?
Well, it's good. Again, we'll see. We'll see. We do know that the looks like the Big Ten going to be bigger by 2 teams coming up here real soon. All right, Ben, and take 3. Are we inching closer towards a just breakaway from the NCAA? A lot of people said if it goes to this, if the Big Ten goes 24, the SEC 24, you basically have NFL light at that point. You have minor league college football that can rake in a boatload of money. Are we gearing up towards a breakaway from the NCAA with some of this?
I think we are, Kevin. I think it's going to be later rather than sooner, though. I don't think it's going to be as soon as people think. I think this is all leverage. I mean, Greg Sankey said, hey, he said, I want to go. I went to the college football playoff committee and said, I want an expansion. They said, get out of here, Greg. You're already getting 2. Get the hell up out of here, Greg. All right, cool. So now we finna show you what we really got brewing, and we're going to show people how much power y'all really do not have. Because as long as we did everything under confines of, under the umbrella of NCAA, y'all look like more power than y'all have. Y'all the Wizard of Oz. Y'all the man behind the curtain pushing buttons. Y'all are not really doing anything. So yes, Kevin, I think breaking away from the NCAA is coming. I don't, because once again, this is about expansion. This is about adding super conferences. This is about the NIL era. This is about the transfer portal era. This is about, trying to build that brand equity. But Kevin, you know what you like I know. Once it is put in place, which if you build it, they will come. Oh, they gonna come. But with the college football playoff committee, if they follow suit, I think they stay with the NCAA quicker. If they keep on after 2025, they saying no, we're gonna keep it at 4. Oh yeah. The breakaway in 2026 is going to be the year when it comes to college football, because that could be it all changes up.
Well, again, according to a lot of reports, we're talking 2 years from now. So after this season, Southern Cal and UCLA would have 1 more year in the Pac-12, and then it's dip time to the Big Ten. So could have a press conference as early as tonight or tomorrow, according to some sources out there as well, that it's all, according to, I forget who said it, but we saw earlier today, all but a formality that this is going to happen at this point. That's Take 3. We do it every day. This time we got more to come. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here on this Thursday. Braves and Phillies coming up in about 25 minutes. We'll have coverage for you. Braves and Phillies finishing up that series. Braves with a chance to finish up the month at 22-5 would be an historic month from a win standpoint. Best month the Braves have had in franchise history. 21-5. I think back in the mid to early 2000s, they were 21-5. So literally could be a month the likes of which we've never seen before by the Atlanta Braves. We'll get to that coming up in just a little bit. Of course, college football is getting ready to get all turned upside down, Ben. We got our good friend AC who wants to join in and chime in on the program. AC, what's happening?
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for taking my call. How you guys doing?
We're doing good.
Well, first of all, let's talk about Kevin Durant. I'm looking at my ESPN app. It says Kevin Durant is requesting a trade. This is the problem with guys like Kevin Durant, Ashley Durant, and Jessica Irving. Like, come on, dude. Nets, the Brooklyn Nets, they're investing their money to help them winning a championship, probably multiple championships. Let's think about it. Let's give you some time frame. Kevin Durant, he left Golden State because he wants to win a championship without Klay Thompson and them boys. What about Kyrie Irving? LeBron James, because your ego got in the way, so you don't want to win a championship with that guy. Now, you form a team in Brooklyn, and nobody knows what Ben Kardashian Simmons is doing. Nobody knows what he's going to do. Team up together. You want to leave? To me, it makes no sense. Why am I investing in these useless superstars? To me, guys, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you're throwing money in there, and they're not going to play the game, or Kyrie Irving is going to say, you know what? Today, I'm not going to get the COVID vaccine, so I'm going to sit out the game. Come on, dude. Be a real man. Be professional. Guys, let's think about it. Ben, Kevin, you guys are working every day to make your money. I'm an average American. I'm working 40, 50 plus an hour. I'm not complaining. Why are we investing on this guy? To me, I'm sorry, but they're not valuable. We just give them too much credit. I think we should put them in the line. Like, don't even bother giving them credit. Hey, Kevin, how do you like my take? I'm a certified bandwagon friend, my brother.
You are back on the bandwagon, AC. I will say that. I will say, look, they're getting paid because they're individually very good. As Ben and I were talking about this before the show. As teammates, I don't know. I don't know if they make you much better at the end of the day.
Kevin Durant has never made anybody better, just like James Harden never made anybody better, just like Russell Westbrook ain't made anybody better. You know why? Because they all won MVPs when they no longer played with each other. People saying Steph and Clay needed Kevin Durant to win the championship. No, the hell they didn't, because they won one with him and without him. What did Kevin Durant do when he wasn't with Golden State? Oh, that's right. He's asking for trades. He's doing interviews. He's talking trash to reporters. Threatening people. Kevin Durant, listen, he's an all-time great, but greater than Steph, greater than Clay, greater than Draymond. The first word is hell. The last name is no. I don't want to hear nothing else about. No, love Kevin Durant, but who has he made better? All right. Kevin Durant is what Carmelo Anthony would have done if he would have went to a winning team during his prime. Kevin Durant got 2 championships because he went to Golden State. Love Kevin Durant, but Captain Obvious is somewhere coming out saying Kevin Durant want to trade. Oh, everybody knew that. Why? Because Kyrie Irving is coming back. He don't want to deal with it, and he don't like playing in Brooklyn, and he don't like losing. And he can't carry a team. There I said it. Kevin Durant.
There you go.
At me, at Biscuits Gravy, we can do this. Holla at me. You want to talk?
You know who doesn't like playing on the West Coast is Southern Cal and UCLA. I mean, that's big news.
It is big news.
It's like, hey, we don't like playing on the Pac-12 or whatever. We're going. I mean, and again, so many talks about how this shapes college football, Ben, at the end of the day. I just can't get over it, man. I love college football, and a lot of people are saying, man, we're just getting crazy with this. This is what happened. And again, I'm not putting this on Greg Sankey, the SEC, but you look at what the SEC and Big Ten have done, Ben. It's all about the money. And maybe the SEC and Alabama and Georgia can sit back and say, nah, come on, man. Well, when the SEC and the Big Ten are banking tens of millions of dollars more per year than the ACC, than the Pac-12, than the Big 12, those schools are like, hey, it's about the money. I'm dipping. I'm going to go take my paycheck, right? That's what Southern Cal and UCLA largely leaving. Why? Because of the cash. Pretty much said it. Pac-12 media rights aren't great. They're not going to get much better. Big Tens are awesome. We bring value to that. let's go get paid. The end. I mean, right? I mean, and so on some level you say, well, it's not our fault. Well, I mean, it kind of is. It kind of is. I'm not saying it's, I'm not saying like, hey, let's go grab every SEC fan by the ankles and hold them upside down. But the SEC has done such a good job, and the Big Ten has done a good job negotiating their deals that, for, I guess, lack of a better analogy, they're eating most of the food at the trough, right? The ACC, Big 12, Sun Belt, Pac-12, they're kind of sitting over the side saying, we're getting some food, but those guys got the buffet. We got a plate. They got the all you can eat going on there. How are we going to keep up? And then the Big 12, or then the Big 10, the SEC look around at the rest of us and go, why don't you eat a little something there, fella? It's like, we can't. We're eating all we can get, and we're not going to be able to keep up. So I just think this is what you're seeing. It's not about, I know people say, well, what's good for college football? What's good for college football right now is bringing more money in the door. If you ask the people in charge, I think. I mean, that's their job. Obviously, if you're Greg Sankey, my job is to maximize the amount of dollars that come into the SEC office and we put out to our schools. That's why, like I said, Roger Goodell is there to tell the owners how much money they're going to make and to take all the bad stuff. Greg Sankey is there to be at the head of the league and say, all right, SEC schools, this is how much money we're going to make because you are with us and because of what we've put together. And that's why if you say, oh, Clemson, all them, they don't want, that would ruin it if you go to 24. You know what it ain't going to ruin? Their bank account. I think that's really where we're headed. It is all monetary. It's not regional. It doesn't matter. Just give us the cheese.
And at the end of the day, Kevin, like you say, this is about making money, people. For those of you who need to, I mean, what is this all about? Is this about the education? No.
No, certainly
is this
not.
about the product on the field? Maybe. So
slightly, yes.
Yeah, listen, you want to be able to pair with big brands. You don't believe me? Yeah. How many USFL games do you see this year? I ain't seen that many. XFL will not be the same thing. Why? The Rock, he's partnering with certain people to make sure his product is out there. UCLA and USC go, hey man, look, we are not in the business of losing money. How do we get more money? We are taking our we are gaining, because that's what you realize. I'm gaining that part of the world as fan bases. Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Wisconsin, Maryland. They're coming to California now. We get to visit those parts of the country. That means why do teams in the West Coast not get as much notoriety? Why? Because you're asleep when they play. Their game of the week is at night. 8 o'clock, last time I checked, it's 11 o'clock on the East Coast. I'm asleep. There's a chance for you to see these brands, and they're making money. So people go, who makes sure you're making money? That would be the ADs. That would be the chancellors. So yes, they're making a lateral move, Kevin, and Lincoln Riley, you win, sir. You win. Because Lincoln Riley
always
was coming.
Look, I imagine that now in retrospect, you get Lincoln Riley, you have the quiet behind, hey, Lincoln, just bear with us. There's big stuff happening. And I think we're not done yet.
Nope.
Again, because now I think you're going to start, I mean, if you don't, I think you're going to start seeing some cannibalism, because I mean, you look at the Pac-12, here's the deal, right? Because you're getting all these reports leaked out of, hey, we think it's going to 20 to 24. If you really believe that, you don't think Greg Sankey's got phone calls today?
Yeah.
You don't think, who is it? Is it Kevin Warren, commissioner of the Big Ten?
Yep.
You don't think his office is getting phone calls?
I just saw
saying, hey, if it goes down.
I just saw Kevin Warren in the event a couple of weeks ago. He said the words. He's up there with it like, well, yeah, because he knew. Like I said, Kevin, once again, when you're in this position, all you're doing is making sure you're boosting the reputation and the revenue of your said conference. We just had the UCLA and USC. What? Really? Yeah. Yep. So now I'm getting those fans, and they're getting our fans, because we're gonna be mixing and matching. Now, hey man, we stretch that far. So when you're looking at a geographical map,
literally coast to coast.
Literally. I mean, and like I said, I mean, Ohio State solidified, Michigan solidified, Penn State solidified, Michigan State solidified. Now we're adding UCLA and USC. Yeah. And for those of you who are only thinking, oh man, boy, they ain't that good at football. Oh, they make up in other ways. Some of these teams are good in track, baseball, softball. I mean, you name it. So, and you're getting the West Coast, the two premier colleges in California. You got them. That's taking nothing away from Fresno State. It's taking away from San Diego State and Cal, and all these different schools. They ain't UCLA. They ain't USC. Kevin Warren is saying, look, man, I'm tired of Greg saying get all the good publicity, man. Matter of fact, they're with him calling right now. What you want? So I'm
No.
just saying.
No, I agree. I think because now the reaction is, well, you're about to be down to Pac-12. What are you going to do?
Uh-oh.
So are they going to go poach from somebody else? I mean, that's what I'm saying. So now this is where it gets interesting. And if the rumors are true, I think if you're Jim Phillips with the ACC, if you're there with the Pac-12, I think his name is Kliavkoff. I mean, you got to be contacting your members going, all right, where's your head at? Are half of y'all reaching out to the SEC, other half of y'all trying to get in the Big Ten? Like, what are we doing?
Or he's saying, man, when I told y'all this was coming, are you listening now? I told y'all.
Yeah.
Because this is one thing, Kevin, you said that I want to make sure we bring up. Oh, some of these teams about to be getting ready to potentially wait bye-bye to the P5. They might have to go G5 if there's nobody calling your phone. So you probably want to get on the train now. So for all people say, why do Vanderbilt never say anything? Because we in the SEC for life. We've been losing forever, but talking that trash when baseball come around, and we getting that check before the season starts.
Stand in the corner and be quiet, and we'll be fine. Like I said, there's nobody feeling better about themselves today than Big Ten and SEC schools because, well, they're locked in. It's secure. We got more to come. Boy, the Freddie Freeman stuff keeps getting more and more interesting, including Freddie Freeman's former agent throwing the Braves under the bus. We'll get to that when we come back. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Braves and Phillies coming up here in just a little bit. We'll hand you off at 4:52 pregame coverage for the final game of that series. Braves looking to go 22-5 in the month of June. Been a just unbelievable month it's been for the Atlanta Braves. And just off the field, it's been unbelievable. The Freddie Freeman, it's now turned into a soap opera, right? You heard, obviously Freddie Freeman comes back, the tears, the crying, all the stuff we talked about. Then you get the report from Doug Gottlieb that maybe the agent didn't communicate all the deals to Freddie Freeman. His agent, Casey Close, has now released a statement to ESPN that says the following, Ben, I will not stand by as the circumstances surrounding Freddie Freeman's departure from Atlanta are mischaracterized. Since March, the Braves have fostered a narrative about the negotiations, which stated plainly is false. Part of that false narrative is a suggestion that I did not communicate a contract offer to the Freemans. To be clear, we communicated every offer that was made, as well as every communication Excel had with the Braves organization throughout the entire process. I have a 30-year reputation in this business for integrity and honesty, and I have always operated with the utmost character. At Excel, we are privileged to represent many exemplary athletes, some of whom have chosen to spend their entire careers with one franchise. We always put the players' goals and best interests first, and will always continue to do so. That is the full statement from Casey Close to ESPN, now Freddie Freeman's, I guess, former agent.
Freddie Freeman ain't fired you because you did all the right things. Freddie Freeman did not decide, and Freddie Freeman has been dealing with you since, I'm guessing, since he came to the bigs, and you didn't do something. So you're just trying to save face, which I understand you trying to save face, but you didn't do something. You can come out and say the Braves did it. You can come out and say these are false allegations being said against him or trying to, file lawsuits or what may have you. But your client said you didn't do something. And it seems like your client just found out when he got back to Atlanta. Isn't that ironic, though? It is your job to tell your client all offers put on the table. And if you did not tell him, this is the thing. Just say you did tell him. When did you tell him? You didn't tell him during negotiations. Because we thought, Kevin, last time we checked, the offer was sent. He said, no, this is before the lockout. Then when you said as soon as the lockout comes back, we said, well, he didn't take the money. I want to know how close the second offer was. I guarantee you it was much closer than what he wanted. And God forbid it was at 6 years. So at the end of the day, he can say whatever he wants. Bottom line, you no longer have a client in Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman did not fire you because you were, a great agent. He fired you because you didn't do your job. Me and Kevin was talking about this. There's a thing called a plea deal. I've never been a part of a plea deal. I hope to never be a part of a plea deal. But if I am, I want to know what it is before I go see the judge. When the judge says you didn't want to take the plea deal, whoa, what plea deal? I ain't know nothing about it. All I'm saying is, Kevin, when the last time an agent got fired for doing their job? They don't. Man, you did such a good job, I gotta let you go. No, communication is all you have between you and your client and the team that he's trying to go to. We made it known. If anybody ever listen, the 30 for 30 that's going to come out about Freddie Freeman and the contract that was is going to be beautiful, and all the details will come out. Because, like I said, the details seem to be coming out as this soap opera goes on. But Clayton Kershaw, you owe Freddie Freeman an apology, sir. I'm telling you, because you didn't know all the details. Yeah. You didn't know what you were talking about, Kershaw. This man was talking about, you ain't tell me, bro.
Well, I mean, again, the Braves are going to have to say something, right?
Yep.
You can't let an agent basically saying you're out there, peddling fake news in regards to what did and didn't. I don't know if the Braves are saying he didn't tell them, but I mean, the Braves I think have always kind of said, look, they gave us an ultimatum and we moved on. That's what we had to do. I'll be interested to see what the Braves' response to that is. Braves and Phillies coming up next. Let's see if the Braves can go 22-5. We'll talk about it tomorrow here on 3 and Out.